Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Contemptuous. About 10 years ago, I worked in a team of scientists. One day, our boss told me that others perceive me as contemptuous. I was shocked beyond words. I certainly did not feel superior or feel contempt for anyone. I was so flabbergasted that I was silent for probably 2 solid minutes. I asked for an example of when something I had said or done gave someone that feeling. He said he couldn't divulge that information. Okay, then I asked for an example he had experienced or observed himself. He said he had none. I said, since I have no clue what I've done, how am I supposed to adjust my behavior? He said he didn't know. I said, basically then, I just need to not talk. He said he wasn't sure. I knew right then what to do. I'm pretty introverted. As a child, I didn't talk for years. I rarely spoke until I was about 13 years old. Got lots of notes from teachers about how quiet I was. I would answer questions when directly asked, but rarely spoke otherwise. So my malicious compliance in this situation was easy for me. I just stopped talking, except when asked a question. I made a point of smiling, showing I was listening, nodding in agreement, etc. I was extremely polite and agreeable. Pretty soon, some big issues came up that I had specific knowledge about. I knew how to solve them, but no one else asked. A huge conflict came up between 2 of our labs because one group wanted it one way and the other group had a different opinion. They fought and fought. People were having secret meetings in their offices to try to win. And when they finally arrived at the action they choose, it was wrong. In fact, both groups were wrong. And the whole experiment failed. It's important to know no one was hurt, no property damage or anything like that. Just a lot of wasted time and expense on materials. But I never said a word. This went on for 3 weeks. The lab's budget had to be revised. They had to cut travel expenses, which I was okay with, because I didn't want to travel anyway. So, no conferences for anyone. This is a big deal for a lot of researchers, because it's how we gain notoriety to be able to get grants, among other things. Finally, a colleague asked me why I hadn't spoken for so long, why I was so quiet. Was something wrong? I explained about being told others perceive me as contemptuous. She had the same expression I did when I was told. She said she didn't believe anyone had said that about me. I honestly was surprised again, because I believed our boss. Then she asked me what I thought about the experiment design and why it was failing. I told her about the solution I believe would work, which was actually surprisingly simple. She recognized it had a good chance of succeeding and asked me to share the idea at the next department meeting. At that meeting, she asked me again in front of everyone, and I repeated what I told her. Several people asked why I hadn't spoken up sooner. I explained I had been given feedback that indicated I caused others to feel uncomfortable. The whole table of colleagues also looked stunned at me. I said I was committed to not causing such bad feelings and couldn't figure out how to communicate because the feedback didn't give me any specific guidance. Everyone looked at the director at that point, and he said we shouldn't discuss personnel issues. It was my issue, so I said, if anyone here perceives me as contemptuous and said as much to our boss, that's the reason I haven't been talking. If you don't feel that way about me, let me know, and I will stop being silent. Someone else said we needed to hold a vote so there wouldn't be any more confusion or talking behind anyone's back. They voted 100% for me to talk normally, and that they didn't agree that I was ever contemptuous. The director slowly stopped coming to work, month by month after this episode, until he was only showing up 1 day a week. Finally, he took a lab position elsewhere, and one of my colleagues was promoted to director. And the experiment was a success. The next year, I got a grant to keep the research going and paid for 2 people to be able to travel to the related conference to present our findings. The next story is called Get Your Manager. My company takes safety very seriously, to the point that we have safety briefings regularly to keep us updated. Yesterday, we had a talk on compactor safety. One of our big rules is to never ever, under any circumstances, climb into a compactor, unless it's unhooked from any power sources. After getting our briefing, we got our assignments and are sent on our merry way. I go to my area, clean it and pull trash. As I'm walking to the compactor, what do I see sticking out of it but 2 trousered legs? After the shock lasting a nanosecond wore off, I start yelling. What are you doing, you idiot? Don't go crawling around in there. I know I shouldn't have yelled, but I was so mad. Well, Mr. Idiot fell out and starts yelling at me. Don't you go yelling at me. Where is your manager? Get them here, right now. I put on my sweetest smile and say, of course, I'm so sorry. Let's get my manager here. Mr. Idiot smirks and is like, good girl. So I call my manager over and ask her to come over. Meanwhile, Mr. Idiot is smiling like the cat who got the cream. I'm fighting to keep from smiling. Because my manager, Miss Hero, takes safety as seriously as I do. I've seen her reduce full-grown men to tears over safety issues. Miss Hero shows up and Mr. Idiot says, you should train your workers not to yell. Miss Hero turns to me. And why were you yelling at him? Because I caught him climbing into the compactor and I got scared he'd be crushed. In a nanosecond, Mr. Idiot goes from looking like a contented cat to looking like a scolded dog. After a sound verbal trashing, Miss Hero calls Mr. Idiot's manager. Within 30 minutes, Mr. Idiot was clearing out his desk, still smelling of garbage. The last story is called Magna Opus. In my town there are 2 colleges. One is a private institution for those with a lot of money, and the other is a run-of-the-mill state college with nothing notable about it. I attend the latter due to my not wanting to take out a copious amount of student loans, and the professors that teach there are a gamble in terms of quality. This is where our antagonist, who we'll refer to as Mr. V, comes into play. I had taken a Composition 2 class the semester prior and was on great terms with the man. Even sent a get well soon card to his office when he missed a week due to him being severely ill. This is all to say that he and I were pretty close, and with my grades being 95% or more on every assignment, we never had any spares academically either. Come the following semester, where I needed to take what the college referred to as a worldly elective in order to finish my associate's degree. I decided to take Shakespearean literature with the same man as my professor. For the first few months, everything went swimmingly. Assignments got submitted on time. Papers were graded with the same high marks I had been receiving, etc. etc. This is where the issues came into play. This semester, since he and I were close and the class was Shakespearean literature, my papers were comedic in nature, and I didn't see a need to put my usual 110% into them. He never had a problem with this, going as far as to say he looked forward to reading them, as my jokes would make him laugh. And we got the play The Tempest, which, in his words, was Shakespeare's magnum opus, and everything went downhill. I wrote my paper as usual and submitted it. Within 48 hours, I got an email telling me how disgusted he was at my behavior, and that the paper was a pathetic excuse research-wise, and a joke format-wise. He said he'd give me one more attempt, but not to expect much leniency in the future, to which I responded, I'll have it back within 72 hours. I was livid, infuriated beyond belief that 7 papers in he got mad at how I wrote and formatted it for the sole reason that it was about his favorite play. He wants a paper that will wow him? I'll wow him, alright. I traded shifts with some of my co-workers, and for the next 72 hours I wrote an 8-page paper about why The Tempest is Shakespeare's worst work, citing some crucial names in the literary world and providing close to 20 sources claiming this to be true. I had other professors at the college proofread it, as well as family and friends of mine who excel in all things literature, just to be doubly sure of its quality, and submitted it exactly 72 hours later. The paper was given a perfect 100%, and I never heard from him outside of class again. According to a friend of mine who took the class the next year, he no longer claims that Tempest is the best work by Shakespeare. As a whole, he seemed defeated about even teaching the class. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.